there is another playmaker to discuss, even though you don't want to believe it. His name's Brock Purdy. This guy can make plays. You know, everybody looks at him and thinks he's just a game manager kid, last pick in the draft from Iowa State. He's just one of those kids that just all shucks his way and just rolls the footballs out to all of his playmakers, and he's just a guy, just keep overlooking him. Niners fans would love you to keep overlooking him. He had last night a night, and he missed 12 passes. A couple of them he would want back because he got lucky. One missed pass, George Kittle played defense on. First quarter.
And then celebrated after for breaking it up.
It was a great defensive play by Kittle. Another one, pretty darn lucky. He threw it into traffic to Debo, popped up in the air, and Ronnie Bell caught it.
Yep.
So I'm not saying he's perfect. He is most certainly not perfect. Nobody is. And I'll even say that about, wait a minute, let me breathe and get this in, because I know it's tough to say. Even Patrick Mahomes isn't perfect. But what he is perfect for this team in this moment. Yeah. Because he is perfect for this team and this moment, and he showed it again last night. On behalf of all New York Jets fans, can we just get half a Purdy and place him inside Zach Wilson as he takes on the Patriots this week? Make the plays. Don't make so many mistakes. Don't make too many mistakes. And then last night, again, he made some mistakes. They didn't count against him. Is he lucky for that? Maybe. But he's also good. He's also good. One thing's for sure. Let's say this. He doesn't look like a kid who's struggling to come back from elbow surgery, is he? That throw he made to Debo Samuel last night to make it a 30-point night, that throw he made where he threw it to a guy that, separates. Boy, does Debo separate. And sometimes he separates defenders from their will. But the throw he threw was perfect over Adoree Jackson. Perfect to the outside shoulder of Samuel, who caught it, touchdown. That was all she wrote. Kind of felt like it was all she wrote before that anyway, clearly. When you can run it with McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell, and you can find Kittle. Last night, Purdy didn't have his, in the first two games, without question, his most productive receiver, Brandon Ayuk, wasn't out there. If they're putting up 30 with that defense, I'm telling you what, this is a major problem for the rest of the National Football League. This is what the head coach had to say about Brock Purdy's performance last night. Roll tape.
Some discussion about Brock maybe being a little off under pressure, but then he puts up his first regular season 300-yard game. You score 30, passer ratings over 111. I guess it's just this is what happens to a quarterback who's expected to win, maybe?
Probably. I mean, I don't know. That's your guys' decision, how you guys want to talk about it. And it definitely wasn't his best game, but I think Brock played well. I mean, he definitely wasn't perfect, missed a couple throws, but he also made a couple plays that I didn't think were there. So I was definitely happy with him.
He's got to be out of his mind, out of his gourd. He's got to be, because again, it's game 3. We're marathoning. We're not sprinting, right? And anything can happen. Clearly, if there's any organization that knows anything can happen from week to week to change your fortunes, it's the 49ers. But he's got to be out of his skull happy about what's going on. Because again, Purdy doesn't look hurt, doesn't look like he needs to be managed. He is good. He is getting the ball out fast. He's making accurate throws most of the time. Do you see a couple of those times to McCaffrey last night, how he leads him up the field? He gives McCaffrey a head of steam. Are you kidding me? Look it up, Chris. I bet you nobody is talking about this kid for most valuable player.
Oh, stop.
Hold on a second. Because, and for good reason, because it's still early, but go ahead and look this up. Because what's part of a metric of somebody's value is not what he costs on the salary cap sheet and not what he's doing to take heat off. Because if Purdy was struggling, you know who we'd be talking about right now? Sam Darnold. We'd be talking about the kid who we're going to talk about briefly, I'm assuming, with Mike McCarthy later on, Trey Lance. What'd you do with him? All those draft choices. That's not even a remote whiff of a conversation right now in the Bay Area because of what he's playing. And you take a look, the fact that they can pay Bosa and they paid Debo and they can have the most expensive running back in the National Football League and they can have that offensive line and they can have all these other guys that they can still pay next year because they don't have to pay Purdy more than $870,000.
I think Al Michaels made more last night.
I saw that tweet. I saw that tweet. What, Spot Track or Spoke Track or however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah. All right, so I stand corrected. Purdy is at 18-1 for MVP, according to DraftKings. That's better odds than Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Micah Parsons, Christian McCaffrey is 40-1. He's tied with Herbert, 18-1, like I said, just ahead of Trevor Lawrence and Dak Prescott, 15-1.
And I guarantee you this, the way that Micah Parsons wins MVP is if he goes and he terrorizes Purdy in week 5 and then the Cowboys wind up having a better record than the Niners and they might lose to him in the playoffs anyway, but that's how, because people still can't believe Purdy. I wrote yesterday on Twitter after he found Deebo Samuel in the end zone to make it a 30-point night despite all of the struggles and not having Ayuk. I said Brock Purdy is quite special. The number of experts that then chimed in saying, you don't know the football, you didn't watch the game, he's got all these guys out there, you know, it's all about the scheme, it's about the players, it's about the Giants stinking, all of that stuff. Like a kid who's standing back there whose decision-making might be ripe for the plucking because he's so young and green, like Wink Martindale is a wallflower to try and confuse you and make you make pressure decisions. This is what here's why Purdy doesn't get a lot of the credit either right now. Because again, he's young and still has only how many starts has he had in his career right now?
It was his 8th regular season start.
I got it. Understood. Here's why too. Here's what Purdy had to say after the game. Check it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Obviously you want to win every game, but we have a high standard. We have a standard that, we want to be the best versions of ourselves, and so for us, it's sort of like, we win the game, which is most important, which is great. But there's stuff out there that we can, clean up and be better at. So that's the standard that, we have here, and we have 14 more games to do that, to be the best versions of ourselves and clean things up. So we're going to take it one day at a time, but it's huge for us to be, 3-0 and have momentum.
Rich, why would you say that soundbite shows why people don't believe in Brock Purdy? Because he said all the things that elite quarterbacks would say, which is, we're taking control and there's a long way to go. And he sounds like he's got full command. He said nothing, whatever. It's because you're not watching on the Roku channel, because he looks like he's going to a class on campus at Iowa State to learn to become a civil engineer who's going to come to your house and ask if it's okay to date your daughter. That's why. He doesn't seem like an assassin to you. Again, I know it's just one game and it's just 3 games right now, but coming into the season, let's talk about what everyone was wondering. Really? You're going to give it to this kid after just a handful of starts last year? Really? You're going to give it to this kid because he's coming back from surgery that would knock many pitchers out of Major League Baseball for a long time, and he's throwing? Really? You're going to give it to this kid when you had all of those draft choices for Trey Lance to give up? Really? You're going to give it to this kid when Sam Darnold has more experience? Really? You're going to basically say, we're going to do this thing. Yeah. And right now, what's not questioned is his arm strength and is his ability to win. And just look at the plays he makes. This is why the Niners are really dangerous. Now, it can come to a crashing halt. There is a lot more football to be played. But it's time to believe it, because we're seeing it.